One of the most frequent asked questions, of course, it's what is the best area to invest in right now in Dubai? Because people come to me after making few inquiries, looking at few videos on YouTube, Googling, speaking to different agents or even developers. And they often get confused because there is so much information available right now, and each and every area is positioned as the top hotspot for investment. So of course, no wonder you can get confused. We'll have at least 3 to 5 different projects, different areas to look at. Well, in my opinion, there is no a good or bad area to invest. It all depends on your personal requirements, on your goals, on targets, and of course, depends on the budget and the cash flows. So for example, many different areas have shown almost equal appreciation over the past few years. When I talk about different areas, mostly I speak about the master plans of the major developers. For example, Arabian Ranches, Emaar Beachfront, the Valley, Emaar South, Dubai Creek Harbor, those are with Emaar. And for instance, like La Mer, Blue Waters, Cherry Woods, this is another developer, Miras and Dubai Properties. So all these major master plans, more or less, showed equal appreciation regardless of where they are positioned. So for example, we pick 2 different locations, which is one beachfront, Emaar Beachfront, so it's a waterfront, and another one which is completely different in terms of experience and in terms of the setup is Emaar South, which is a residential community, golf course community next to Al Maktoum International Airport. So completely different locations, but shows almost equal appreciation. How? If we look at the numbers, for example, at the initial stage in 2019, when people were buying apartments in Emaar Beachfront, they were investing anywhere between 1.2 to 1.4 million dirham for 1-bedroom apartment. And in Emaar South, they were investing around 1 million dirham for 3-bedroom townhouse. So more or less the same amount of capital with a little bit of difference, like 20-40% difference. But over the years, if this investor would sell this property now, they would see almost double of capital appreciation and around 70 to 80% value increase. How? Now, this 1-bedroom apartment that people were buying in Emaar Beachfront at 1.2, 1.4, now worth close to 3 million dirham. So it's almost double in value. And actually with cap, appreciation depends on the amount that they invested based on the payment plan. But for example, if it was, let's say, 50% capital invested over the period of construction and then remaining 50 on handover or with some kind of post-handover payment, then by investing just 600,000 to 700,000 dirham, those people are reselling right now at close to 3 million, which represents almost like 4 to 5 times increase on their capital invested. At the same time, in Emaar South, for example, the same townhouse that they bought for like 1 million dirham, 3-bedroom townhouse, they're reselling at close to 2 million right now. So double again in value increase. Again, 2 different locations. One is being the waterfront, close to Palm, close to Marina, the top hotspot tourist destination. And the other one is completely on the outskirts of the city, next to the airport. This year, government announced that it's going to expand it and invest $35 billion into this airport. But already before this announcement, the investors have seen appreciation almost equal as in Emaar Beachfront. So any area could be considered potentially, as long as it ticks your boxes, you have a right amount of the capital, you know basically what is your target. You want to keep it for yourself, you want to resell, you want to rent. This criteria we discussed at the initial consultation. When I say that when it comes to your personal criteria, your personal preferences, what I mean is that, for example, you are someone that likes downtown, busy city vibes, skyscrapers, Dubai Mall, and all that, and you find maybe downtown is already like out of the budget, or you still can buy in downtown, but you realize that the prices are already at the peak. Then your option could be investing in Dubai Creek Harbor, which is another downtown, but improved, much better, with more greenery, water views, offers you apartments with at least 1/3 lesser price than in downtown. So for example, if in downtown you're buying apartment for 2.5 million dirham in a good building, then in Dubai Creek Harbor you can buy it for like 1.8 million, which is significant difference. You can agree that, right? At the same time, if you have a different lifestyle preference, for example, you're someone that is looking to come to Dubai, spend a few months in a year only, and the rest of the time you wanted to keep your property on the short-term rentals and get income from it, you can invest in a location like Dubai Harbor with different projects like Emaar Beachfront. Other developers there also have very well-established projects. So this way you can find something that suits your lifestyle. Or at the same time, I also have investors that come to me only for villas and townhouses specifically, which I believe also is a very safe investment. And you can buy a townhouse or villa as an investment or also as a personal property to live in. With a ticket size of approximately like 2.7, 2.8, 3 million dirham, you can get a 3-bedroom townhouse in a nice community. And some investors, they're buying like a few of them to keep one, to rent another one, to resell another one, maybe a couple of them pass on to your children. So like you can create a portfolio and then trade these units as per your needs and as per what the market suggests the best at the time when they are ready. For example, villas are also very good investment, and I always bring this example of Golf Place. Initially, the 4-bedroom villas were selling at approximately like 7.5 million dirham, and now they're reselling anywhere close to 16 million even. So again, till handover, investor has paid only between like 50 to 60%, and you can imagine like investing 60% of like 7.5 and then reselling at 16 million gives you huge capital appreciation. Again, some investors would choose to go with multiple units, like few 1-bedrooms in a touristic hotspot, while other ones would prefer to get 1 unit, 1 villa, and then trade it after, resell it after with significant capital appreciation. I can also make a portfolio if the person, for example, has different tastes, likes one lifestyle, but for investment understands that better to have, for example, something in a very developing location. So all these criteria, all these options are customizable, and I really come up with the suggestions based on, first of all, the requirements and abilities of the investor. Another important point that I'd like to bring to attention of the investors that it's not only the location, it's also the investor behavior, because many different people, they made or lost the money in different periods of time depending on their investor behavior. So the safe investor behavior right now is to buy and hold your asset for at least 3 to 5 years, ideally throughout the whole period of construction, and then reselling it just before handover or after handover, after keeping it for another maybe year or two until the area appreciates more even. Because with properties in Dubai, it's not only about the building or community of villas being ready, it's also about the infrastructure and amenities around this community to be ready. For example, if we take Dubai Hills, properties have seen their different appreciation stages at different times. When they were delivered, there was a one phase, then there was a mall open, there was another phase, there was a park attractive, another phase, retail open in the boulevard, another phase. So with each and every milestone, your property see more and more appreciation. So 3 to 5 years is the minimum. Anywhere less than that, I consider it risky, because if you're coming to invest in real estate in Dubai, you should have a mindset of a real estate investor. It's not cryptocurrency, it's not stock market, it's a property in a developing market that is just firing the engines to be the most lucrative investment. So the more you hold, the more you make. There are actually some investors that exited with a profit after 6 months, but now when I sit down with them, when we look at the track record of how their property performed, we literally can open the same unit and see how many times it was sold. We see that, for example, investor bought a property at like 4.2 million dirham, sold around 4.9 million dirham, made just 700,000 in 6 months. It's a good yes. On the long run, 2.5 years from now, the same property that he sold for 4.9 million dirham is selling at 8 million dirham. So you see the difference. The longer you hold, the better, the more lucrative your return is. So that is also very important, not only the location, but also your investor behavior. Another important factor that you should consider when you are investing in real estate is that, first of all, any advice that you take, you should take it from either certified licensed professional that has been in Dubai for quite a long time, or from someone that has invested in real estate in Dubai also for a certain number of years, at least 10 years, I would recommend. recommend, and also like sold and bought at least 3 times. If you listen to investors that get lucky and bought during the COVID and sold like 2 years after, basically they just ride the wave of this force majeure and the prices going down and then picking up. That was not only in Dubai, that was all over the world. So for Dubai specifics, you have to speak with someone who is knowledgeable, experienced, and have seen many different waves in this market. So I would not recommend to speak with someone who just recently came, bought, and resold within 6 months, or who just recently got a license and advising you on where to put your money. You really have to do your due diligence on the person that is giving you advice. Like you would not take a treatment from the side doctor, right? You would go to certified professional, you would go to the hospital, you would Google this doctor, you will see if he has some media presence, what he has done, which school did he go, right? Which clinic did he work, and which international medical institutions. The same thing with your real estate broker, because like your health and your money is like very important assets. So you have to make sure that you speak with knowledgeable people if you're asking their advice. The next most popular question that people ask me is that are the prices too high? Because there's a lot of information again on the internet, a lot of articles. Dubai is hitting the records, the rents are jumping, the prices are increasing, everything's sold out. Are we experiencing really a boom? Are we at peak? Are the prices going to go down? Or what's going on? Is this the right time to invest? So I would always offer to look at the track records and approximately take the 10-year period, which will be 2014. In 2014, I came to Dubai, and I can say that more or less if we compare the prices, what was in 2014 and now, it's almost the same. For example, I was just recently checking the rent in the building where I used to live in 2014. One bedroom was renting for like 95,000. It was a building on Sheikh Zayed Road, Sheraton Tower, like Burj Al Salam Tower. And the price for one bedroom is the same now, 95,000. It was the same in 2014. So what it tells you that the price in Dubai right now is more or less in those districts that were already established is the same. But positioning of Dubai on the international markets, it's completely different. Like the world has changed since then for 10 years. During that 10 years, there's so many things happen in the world. We experienced pandemic. There were so many international conflicts. So Dubai positioned itself as the best city to live in, the most secure environment for relocating the business, establishing the business. It's a trading hub, and a lot of people coming to Dubai to live here, to work here, and to conduct their business. So in 2014, prices were the same, but Dubai as a city was not that attractive for many people. So you can see that with the same level of prices, but more demand coming internationally, what kind of conclusion we can logically make? That the prices still will be going up. For example, also in 2014, downtown was transacting at 3,000 to 4,000 dirham per square feet, and if you check prices right now, it's more or less the same. Of course, depends on the buildings where you are checking, but more or less the average median price is about the same. The same was in 2014. We had the Expo 2020 that brought 25 million visitors. Like so many people discovered Dubai, and I understood why actually Dubai and why they want to come and move their families, move their capital, move their business. When we talk about international markets, US and Canada were investing about 0.01%. And now share of those buyers is between 7 to 9%, right? A lot of Chinese buyers came, investors from Russia, India, they were always investing. And overall, a lot more different markets also opened up. For example, I have investors in Australia that are suffering from paying around 25% capital gain tax there. So they're selling whatever they have, paying this capital gain tax and relocating the capital here, knowing that they will recover here this like 25% in approximately 1.5 years. We look at 2014, it falls in that decade that was the slowest growth in Dubai between like 11 and 20. It was slower than we compare what's going on, for example, in this decade, right after COVID. And even though in this slowest decade of economic, we had almost 1 million people relocated to Dubai. So still it shows you that regardless of what was like aftermath of the 2008 crash, for example, a lot of people were finding Dubai at that time already a city for opportunities and for relocation for expats. Government is constantly announcing major infrastructure projects. For example, recently there was expansion of Al Maktoum International Airport announced. That is a project that's worth approximately $35 billion. So that that is something that also drives the economy. And Dubai South, the area where the project is located, where the airport is, forecasted to contribute up to 35% of Dubai GDP in the next few years. So government is heavily investing, is expanding the city, and a lot of people are attracted to that area because of the infrastructure that is already there, exists. For example, like Port Jebel Ali, the Expo City, that is, I call it downtown of Dubai South. Then there is the Etihad railways coming to that area, the airport itself, so the city expanding towards Dubai South. According to 2040 Urban Master Plan, Dubai population is forecasted to increase up to 7 to 8 million people. This is if we proceed with the same growth rate. There are chances that, of course, the current growth rate will even increase. So with all this factor in mind, when you look at the supply of the apartments, villas and townhouses, roughly, altogether, all developers in Dubai are able to deliver approximately up to 60,000 units per year, while demand for housing is much more than that. So this creates a gap, and this what actually indicates that the prices are nowhere near to go down in the next few years, or in the near future at least. For the past few months, I've seen how big developers are launching their projects and immediately sell them out anywhere between few hours, few days, rarely few weeks, but mostly it's sold out very fast. Each developer launch a stock with approximately 400 to 500 units, whether it's a tower or whether it's a cluster of townhouses or villas. And this is happening basically with Emaar, for example, every week, and with other developers as well. So every, let's say, 2 to 3 days, there is a launch, and this stock gets wiped out from the market immediately. Investors who buy these properties, they know that if they don't buy it right now at this price, they would have to pay the premium in the next launch. Typically, the price increase in each launch is between like 5 to 10%. And that's why you see the people who have the capital now, they already understood the potential for the capital appreciation, and they are actually buying the bulk units, the plexes, the clusters in the villas and townhouses, and the floors in the entire buildings. If you compare Dubai prices with prices in other international global hubs, for example, Singapore, in London, it's at least 3 to 5 times higher. And in Singapore, for instance, there is above 60% tax for non-residents when they are buying a property. Plus, the price per square feet is 3 to 5 times higher. Well, at least in Singapore, it's safe and secure, and people that really want to buy property there, if they don't mind this tax, they go for it. But if you compare with London, for example, we also have their very high prices, but safety and security is not on the same level. So people that would have this money, they would prefer to have a better lifestyle, a better deal on real estate in Dubai, rather than going to safe and secure Singapore and pay this tax there. In Dubai also you can get an amazing lifestyle, safety, security, opportunities, and so on, and save this 60% tax duty for non-residents buying property, or people from UK, for example, also relocating because they understand the price per square foot difference, and also the advantages that Dubai gives as the most safe and secure city to live in. If you look at the supply of the projects in Dubai, so whatever is selling will be delivered right now between 28 and 29. Whatever is delivered in 27 was sold last year. So technically you can say that Dubai real estate is sold out till 28-29. Rarely you can find something right from developer that is ready now, or maybe ready next year, or ready in 2 years. This is very, very limited numbers of some certain stock that came as cancellation or was not sold for some reason. Maybe it's not the best unit, and so on. The good deals, the good units, the good stock, for example, premium properties with nice views, or villas with big plots, they're all getting sold out even before the initial launch. So basically, this prime stock, the cream de la cream stock, is get distributed based on expression of interest only. There are 3 major factors that investors should consider when buying a property. First of all, it's of course capital appreciation, because we invest to make money, right? So we have to see a clear forecast, a clear trend on how this X amount will become 2x or 3x in the next coming years, right? So the second one is rental return. Ideally for apartments, it should be between 10 to 11%. For villas, it will be a little bit less, between 5 to 7%, but this is the numbers that you should consider when you're evaluating your opportunity. And the third important factor, of course, is the end-use experience. Because, for example, if you decide to keep this property for yourself, you want to make sure that you get the best experience, best lifestyle that you can have when buying this property. Or also from resale point of view, the property that you buy now should be desirable by the tenants, by the buyers at the time of handover. So having those three aspects in mind is the key to shortlist and evaluate all the opportunities that comes your way. What is the example of the project that captures all these three factors? All these three main pillars. For example, we can take the famous one, Emaar Beachfront, right? The people that bought the property at like 1.2, 1.4 million dirham back then when it was launched initially, now enjoying at least 150% capital appreciation on the money invested. They put 50 to 60% of that amount, 1.2 million, right? Let's say 600,000, 700,000. And now reselling at close to 3 million, right? So 7 times 3, it's even like below the 3 million, but it clearly shows you 150% capital appreciation. Rental returns, you just open Airbnb and see how much it is per month to stay in these apartments in the months of November or December, or even the rate per night. And you can clearly see that is way more than 10 to 11%. It's actually 10 to 11%. It's a very conservative scenario. End use experience, it's fantastic community. When you go there, you'll really appreciate the infrastructure, the amenities, everything is brand new. There is a cruise ship terminal, there is a F&B and restaurants, a boardwalk, international boat show is happening there, so end use is top. But at the time when people were buying Emaar Beachfront, the main objection was Dubai Marina, because in Dubai Marina you could have bought one bedroom at that time even below 1 million dirham, and Emaar Beachfront was selling like at 1.2, 1.4. But appreciation in Dubai Marina and Emaar Beachfront is not the same. Like that property that was in Dubai Marina for 1 million is not selling at the same price of Emaar Beachfront, because the difference in the community, in the infrastructure, in the supply and demand at the location as well, and all these things together really impacts your capital appreciation. The next question is ready or off plan. Like a lot of people are debating whether to buy ready or off plan. The only scenario when I recommend to buy a ready property is when you only have 20% and the remaining you can rely on the bank, remaining 80%. And the other scenarios when you have a capital as a down payment and the cash flow, my advice would be go with off-plan property, especially if it's your first property. And here's why. When you buy a ready property and you're buying it with full 100%, whether it's with a bank or your own, you're putting 100% of this money now to seller or to developer. And if something happened with the market and it will correct, for example, for 10 to 15%, your property would worth less, 10 to 15% automatically, right? And you would bear the loss because you already fixed yourself at this price, right? For example, you're buying something for like 10 million dirham, market correction like 15%. Okay, it's worth now like 8.5 million. But when you buy the same property on payment plan with off plan, then whatever happens on the top, when you are paying slowly according to a payment plan during construction, you are not affected. Yes, you are paying on 10 million price, not on the corrected price, but you're paying slowly in installments. You didn't put 100% of your capital, right? And by time you get keys of your property, you're still not paying 100% of your capital. Right now, mostly it's 80 to 90% most of the cases, but still it's not 100%. So when you're investing in off plan, in case of market correction, technically you are not risking the entire amount. You just basically minimizing your risks by paying slowly. In the first year, your payment is literally 30-35%. This is the maximum according to the standard payment plans that are existing now. So that's why when you're buying your first property, I suggest to go with off plan because it's safer in case especially you are concerned about market correction, about retaining the value of your capital. So that is your way to minimize risks. But there is another objection that comes normally from investors that, okay, if for example I buy off plan, but there is a risk that the project gets delayed, or there is a risk that, for example, I cannot pay according to schedule, what to do in that way. In the second objection, you can always resell your property provided that you have paid between 30 to 50% depending on the terms and conditions in your sales and purchase agreement. In the second case, there's a risk that most of the people ask me, what if the project gets delayed? Well, technically, right now, all the developers that are in the real estate market in Dubai, they've been verified, they've been checked by authorities to be operating in this market. Like, the project delay may happen within maybe 6 months to 1 year, but it's not going beyond that, which is typically is a normal and even written in the SPA that 1 year is something that could happen. But beyond that, I haven't seen in the past few years after force majeure of COVID, of course. Since then, I haven't seen projects delaying. Actually, in fact, I've seen projects being delivered ahead of time and projects being constructed ahead of schedule. And actually, my clients are getting notices to pay in advance, even ahead of schedule, because their payment plan is linked to construction progress and not to the dates in the SPA. So you can actually expect this concern that projects may be delivered even before the timeline, and actually you would have to pull your funds before. Also, quite often a lot of people come to me with a fear of investing in off-plan because of so many different reasons. One of them being not able to follow the installments from the developer and fear of not being able to meet the commitments. In that case, how do we minimize the risk? We'll have to look at the terms and conditions and to see at what point the investor can exit. As I mentioned previously, I suggest to keep the property between 3 to 5 years, at least 3 years, or if it's some kind of force majeure situation and investor needs to exit, then we have to be safe and secure with the capital needed to be paid before NOC can be issued. For example, some developers allow to sell after 30, 40 or 50% payment to the developer. Typically, 30, 40, 50% happens between 1 to 1.5 years, sometimes 1 to 2 years. So provided that you have this amount of capital within this period of time, in case something happens, whatever you may not be able to pay, you can exit through the resale of your property. So this is how you minimize the risk. This is how you fight the fear of not being able to meet your commitments. And in most of the cases, like when we clarify these risks, when we look at them, people actually realize that no, they can support this cash flow because they have contracts coming, they have cash coming from that source, from another source, from business, from some other investments. So that is being cleared. Typical pain points of plan investment, and the most popular one is that projects get sold out very fast. For example, there is an announcement that the launch is coming, the next day it's all sold out. And especially for buyers that want to have a specific view or specific unit number, or want to have it like VASTO compliant, it gets very difficult to get the desired unit. That's why it leads to frustration. So my recommendation would be, if this is investment property, to drop this criteria of being certainly compliant with certain things and just go for the best price, the best available option at the time of the launch. Another pain point of investing in off-plan is challenging a payment plan. Right now, it's definitely become more stricter for developers to give any sort of flexibility. Most of the payment plans from the major developers are between 80 to 90% during construction and the remaining balance on completion. We used to have those days when it was around 60% during construction, 40 on completion, or even with extended payment plan after handover, but those days are gone, and we now have to face the reality. Investing in off-plan now means that with 90-10, for example, payment plan, it means that you have to have at least 30 to 20% to pay each year for your unit. For example, you're buying property for 1 million dirham and your first year is around like 30% plus 4% to Dubai Land Department. Your next year is 20% and the remaining, let's say 2 years, 2020 and 10 on completion. So this is how it is. More or less it changed depending on developer. Some people find it difficult when they hear 90-10 payment plan, like how do I have to get all the money during construction? But in fact, it's, as I said, 30 to 20% per year, sometimes 15. It depends on the schedule, and it's still quite flexible, quite affordable, accessible. And if you definitely have the cash flow that is giving you these amounts, you should go for off-plan. Another pain point of off-plan investment is that desirable locations quickly become out of budget. And what is offered within the budget is far away or remote location or outskirts of the city. But whatever was remote or considered in the middle of the desert 5 years ago now became actually the center of the city. Very simple example, Dubai Hills Estate. 5 years ago, when I was offering my clients Dubai Hills, many people thought that it's so far away. Back then, Al Hilal Road was not even heard of for many people who was traveling only on Sheikh Zayed Road. And Dubai Hills considered to be like far remote location. But in fact, it's much closer to the city than Arabian Ranches, Emaar Oasis, for example. So once Dubai Hills became popular location, it quickly became out of budget. Like almost in 1.5 years, the prices went so much higher that now it's out of budget for many people. The same goes for Arabian Ranches 3, for example. Exactly the same scenario. Now Arabian Ranches 3 is somehow a great location for those people who can still afford it. The next goes for Valley, for example. It was also like super remote location, but now with Al Ain Road opening up and connecting all the major lifelines of Dubai, all the major highways, now Valley is becoming very well-connected community and is much more desirable than, for example, Emaar Oasis that take you like 40-45 minutes to get to downtown. Within connectivity of Wali is much less. So whatever is affordable right now, it has to be considered as the best location for you, because if you would go for like top-notch locations, famous locations that are out of budget, it will think that you are compromising on remote location, then in the next 2 to 3 years you won't be available to afford anything within the same budget that you are looking at now. For example, for like 1.2 million dirham in 2019, you could have bought townhouse in Arabian Ranches 3, townhouse in Emaar South, 1 bedroom in Emaar Beachfront. What can you buy right now with the same amount of money? Cannot even buy a 1-bedroom apartment in Dubai Hills Estate. This is how price jumped. So thinking that location is remote or whatever is desired is out of budget is not the right way of thinking. The best time to buy is when you know that, for example, you identify the need that you need to buy property, you need to move in, or you have some kind of money on your bank account accumulated and you understand that you don't want to keep them there, you want to invest them. This is the number one signal that, okay, you need to buy. Then you understand that this project is affordable, accessible, possible, it's available now, I have the capacity. You just have to buy, because otherwise, if you think that this is not my preferred location, somehow I like Palm Jumeirah, but I only can afford Dubai land, then I would not invest in anything at all. Fast forward 5 years from now, you realize that if you didn't buy in Dubai land, then now your next best option is somewhere behind the Mac Hills too. Many investors, they don't take into consideration the big picture, the economy growth aspect of Dubai, and they're not considering this as the factor that will impact the prices in the future. So thinking just a short term, thinking in the span of 6 months to 1 year is very risky, because within this time you don't see what government has already planned. But if you look at, for example, economic agenda of D33, which is between now and the next 10 years, you'll see how much money government is investing, what are the projects they are doing. If you look at Dubai 2040 Urban Master Plan, you see how the city will be developed, what will be the centers. You understand that there is a clear plan to bring more people that would require housing, that would come here with the money, ultra high net worth individuals, and this actually will open your eyes and will highlight for you that whatever you think right now is like affordable to you, this is something that you should consider buying, rather than just looking at the short span and thinking that maybe after 3 or 4 years, maybe the price would go down. But looking at the plans, at the big picture and the roadmap of Dubai development, you will see that there is nowhere a plan for Dubai economy to shrink, to go down, to stop producing. Another objection, which is my favorite, many people say that, oh, you know, this location looks like a desert, or it's in the middle of the desert, or it's too far, I'm not going to consider it. Well, it's funny, but the fact that Dubai real estate of planned investment especially is giving you return of 20% per year is based on logic that investors are buying off-plan property in the location that is right now looks like a plot of land in the desert. Because, for example, if you go to cities like Singapore or you go to Monaco, you try to buy something there in the middle of the city off plan. First of all, the option doesn't exist like that. Like in Monaco, I think last project of plan when it was sold. I remember 10 years ago, I was working in an investment bank and we had this off-plan exclusive project 10 years ago. And it was probably last plot available there. So investing in the location that is right now looks like a plot of land in the desert, this is what actually gets you your desired 20% capital increase per year, and not investing in a location that has been already developed. In downtown, you still can get like your square feet at the price of like 3,600, which is still good deal and it will appreciate definitely in the future. But in Dubai South, for example, where you're investing in the land that is right now located in the middle of the desert, the price is 3 times less. It's 1,100 square feet versus 3,600 square feet. So this is the difference. This is why investing in the remote locations in the project from the scratch, especially in the initial stage, will get you the most returns. What is also important to consider that it's not only location that impacts your ROI, also the master planning and the community. For example, if we take right now a few different areas like Greens and we compare it with Dubai Hills. Greens is an amazing location next to Marina, GLT, Palm, everything is quickly accessible. There is even metro nearby. But somehow Dubai Hills offers a better lifestyle, a better end-use experience, because there is a park, there is a golf course, there is a mall, and it's so well positioned within the city. But again, it's not about location, it's about amenities and the lifestyle. So price in Dubai Hills for one-bedroom apartment of the smaller size is much more than in Greens, for example. Like you would buy apartment of size with 650 square feet with price of approximately 1.5, 1.6 million dirham. In Greens, the bigger unit will cost you less. Why? Because of the amenities, because of the community of Dubai Hills, because it's new, it's developed recently, and Greens was developed like way long time ago, and people in Dubai, they prefer to live in a new community where everything is designed in a way that supports modern lifestyle, saves you time, gives you better end-use experience. So choosing location is definitely important, but also choosing a community with amenities, with master plan is another important factor.